What's up, guys? Hey, this is Christian Brindle with Six Figure Medicare Agent. Hope this video finds you doing well. And we're back with another video, and today we're going to talk about taxes. If you are a small business owner, an insurance agency perfectly fits that description. How can you best take advantage of tax deductions? We're going to talk about that today. Right now, we're going to get into it. But before we do so, we got to talk about my favorite telemarketing lead company, and that's Lead Heroes. Guys, if you're looking for high quality telemarketing leads in your business in 2021, if you're an insurance agent or agency, Lead Heroes has got you covered. They are top of the line when it comes to final expense leads, Medicare supplement leads, turning 65 leads, and just a majority of different things that you can possibly find in the industry. They've got you covered for real-time leads where one of their trained and professional telemarketers will talk to someone, pre-qualify them, make sure that they're number one, interested, and number two, qualify for your product ahead of time, just kind of take some of the work out of it for you. Or you can even use one of their custom calling campaigns where you can pay by the hour to have one of their telemarketers call for you and either book you preset appointments or feed you leads or just whatever it is that you might want to do. It's custom for a reason. Just because you watch this video, Lead Heroes is going to give you 10% off all of your orders on their website. There's a link to their website down in the description as well as a coupon code that you can use for 10% off. Give them a try. Let's get into this, guys. Let's get into tax deductions for small business owners. So I myself am somebody that, has learned a lot about taxes over the years, as somebody that is really, in about 7 or 8 years in as a small business owner. But when I first started, you guys, I started as an individual insurance agent. I didn't even start my corporation itself and actually incorporate my business until 2018. Before that, I was a 1099 on everything. I didn't even have my corporation until then. Now, for those of you who don't know, my corporation is known as an S corporation. So Christian Brindle Insurance Services is known as an S corporation. With an S corporation, it's a little bit of a different kind of thing. It gives you some advantages and disadvantages that maybe an LLC wouldn't give you, or maybe an LLC would do better in certain areas. A C corporation does a little bit different things. There's different kinds of corporations, and depending on how you're doing this is going to depend on what you can and can't do. I've talked about some of the downsides of incorporating if you're not big enough in past videos. And so you might want to go back and watch that if you're more interested in that side of things. But essentially, guys, what is the definition of a tax deduction? Well, a tax deduction is something that's going to reduce your taxable income. This is big. This is an expense that you will make for your business or that's business related that is a reduction of your taxable income. That's essentially the way it is. And so, let's say you make $100,000 a year and you spend $1,000 in that year in your business. Well, you're only going to be taxed on $99,000 of your $100,000. See how that works? It essentially means you don't have to pay taxes on the amount of money that was spent on your business. Now, there's two lines of thinking with this. Some people will just spend money on things they don't need for their business that's really not going to help them just to get that tax deduction. That's not something that you want to do. But if you're going to be spending money on something anyway, you want to make sure that you keep track of these tax deductions. Now, this is very, very important that you're organized with this and that you are doing a great job of keeping up with it. You want to make sure that you're keeping documentation, receipts of what each expense was. You want to make sure that you're keeping documentation on what it specifically was for and why you needed it for your business. Because if you're not careful, guys, and if you're not very organized with this stuff, you can always be audited by the IRS, and that's not going to be fun. And if you're not prepared for these audits and you can't prove why you took this write-off on your taxes, they can essentially come back and tell you that you need to pay it back even years after the fact. So there's a difference between a tax deduction and a tax credit also, by the way. So I'll give you an example. I have a daughter. She's 20 months old. She's a little girl. I claim her on my taxes, so I get a $2,000 a year tax credit. Now, what a tax credit is it essentially, let's say you owe $10,000 in a year for taxes, for example. Well, if you have a tax credit, that minuses what you actually owe. A tax credit is going to be even better than a tax deduction, but it's just a little bit different. But tax deductions is essentially what you can typically take in your businesses. So what are some tax deductions that you can take advantage of right now that you might not be thinking of if you're a small business owner? Well, do you use your cell phone for your business? I take it that if you're a small business owner, you probably do in some shape or form. You can write off your cell phone bill, or at least a part of it. Do you have a home office? Well, you can write off the square footage of that home office that you use on a regular basis and essentially write off a portion of your home utilities, your rent or mortgage, whatever it might be that essentially makes that up, and even maybe a piece or a percentage of your home internet. Because these are business expenses, guys. There's a lot of things that you can use as write-offs that you might not be thinking about right now. If you're a business that works on advertising and lead costs and things like that, are you keeping track of your leads? Are you keeping track of the advertising costs? Because they can be huge, tremendous write-offs, guys. For me personally, I'm trying to get to the point, where we're spending so much money in our business because that's going to help us grow, that I'm increasing it every year. So to kind of give you an idea, in 2020, I spent $45,000 on business expenses, not including payroll. Let me say that again. $45,000 on business expenses, not including payroll. These were things like traveling to work with agents that I did in December. These are things like paying for leads or helping agents with leads in certain circumstances. These are things like paying for advertisement, paying for equipment. Guys, everything you see in this room that we used to make this studio was a tax deduction. The sign behind me, the microphone I'm speaking into, this desk, the lights, the cameras, everything was a tax deduction. If you get licensed in another state as a non-resident, if you're an insurance agent, that is a tax deduction. And essentially, guys, when you're organizing these things, there's a couple of different things you can do. You can keep receipts, and this is what I used to do. I used to keep every single receipt and write on the back of it what it was for. And then what I started doing a couple of years ago is I started using some of these apps that you can download on your smartphone. So the one I use right now is called Expensify. Expensify is a free app that essentially you can snap a picture, and QuickBooks has something like this too. There's also one called TaxBot, but QuickBooks and TaxBot cost you money. Expensify is completely free, but you can essentially snap a picture of the receipt. You can add into the description what it was for, keeps the date in check. You put in the exact dollar amount that was spent, and then it also can place it in different categories. When you're doing tax deductions, typically your tax accountant is going to want to see the categories for your different write-offs. So an example to that, is like there's an equipment category. All this stuff in this room is probably going to be equipment category. Your cell phone bill can be in the equipment category. Leads, marketing, that can go in the advertising category. If you need to buy, a stack of printer paper for your printer in the office, that goes in the office supply category. So you kind of see how you can do this, but essentially, guys, that $45,000 I spent before payroll, not including payroll. If you include payroll, it's probably north of $70,000 I spent on my business in 2020. I want that number to exceed six figures in 2021. That's a goal of mine because that's how we're going to grow. But essentially, guys, that reduces my taxable income by about $70,000 to $75,000. And so essentially that means on my income that my business generates, I don't have to pay taxes on $70,000 to $75,000 worth of the business in 2020. That helps you dramatically. This is how these huge companies like an Amazon or an Apple or some of these gigantic companies that make billions and billions and billions of dollars every year, they just make obscene amounts of money. This is how they can get away with either getting a return when they file their tax returns or paying very little throughout the years because they spend so much money in their business and their reductions actually take them to a point where, they are getting so many write-offs that it's actually working in their favor, guys. Spending money in your business has a lot of rewards, one of which, is your business grows, your business continues to expand. The old saying is it takes money to make money, and it's not necessarily true, but when you're advertising, it definitely helps to spend some money when you're trying to grow and scale in that regard. But there's another reward to it at the end of the tunnel, and that is making sure that you're taking advantage of the write-offs that come with it, which reduce how much taxes you have to spend. And I wanted to make this video because I know a lot of you guys and a lot of you small business owners, whether you're an insurance agent or not, you're not taking advantage of these write-offs, and it's hurting you big time in your business. So keep track of them, keep the receipts, take pictures of them, get a free app, however you're going to keep track of them, but keep organized files and documentation on this and take advantage of the write-offs. That's stuff you're spending money on anyway, and you're paying way too much taxes than you need to. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's one that I wanted to make for quite some time. This is Christian Brindle with Six Figure Medicare Agent. If you enjoyed the video and you have something you'd like to add to this conversation, do me a favor, drop a comment in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a like in the video if you found it helpful. Make sure to subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications for when we post or go live. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Take care.